Hello everyone, welcome back to After Work Entrepreneurs. As promised, this video is going to show you how I made the vegan gumbo for the very first time. If you don't know what I'm talking about, make sure you go back and watch our last video, our first vegan grocery haul, where we show you guys all the ingredients that we purchased on our first vegan trip and explain to you this awesome vegan gumbo recipe that I found from B Foreal's channel. It looked amazing and I wanted to try it, so here we go. We're gonna start cooking. So at the beginning of our recipe, we're going to start prepping our vegetables first. And the first thing that we're gonna prep is our heart of palm. The heart of palm is actually our crab substitute for a regular gumbo. Regular gumbo usually has crab meat and some sausage. We're gonna forget about the sausage and we're just gonna double down on the palm. So we have 2 cans of hearts of palm and we're just gonna start shredding those pieces. Straight out the can, they came in these round slices as you see here, and I just took 2 forks and started shredding them into small pieces. They don't need to be too small because again they will begin falling apart in the pot once we mix everything together. Once we have the palm shredded, we're going to move on to our peppers. So I started with the red bell peppers. I took my paring knife and began cutting around the core. This is going to loosen it up and allow you to pull that middle right out, releasing the majority of the seeds that will be falling around in there. So this will make it easier to clean and a lot faster too. So I just pulled that right out. Give it a little shake over the can to get all the loose seeds out of there. And then I take my chef's knife and split the pepper in half. With those 2 halves, I'm going to split those again into 4 quarters to make it easier and neater to slice. With each quarter, we are going to cut these thin slivers of skin and root and seed that we have there. And because they're in quarters, they're a lot easier to access. So just like that, you pull it right off. We're going to repeat that for the other 3 quadrants that we have here. Make sure you get all those seeds out. Toss those right in the trash because we don't want to eat that. Now that we have our quadrants cleaned out, we're going to take those and cut them into slices. With those slices, we're going to take the chef's knife and push them all together into one unit and then give those a small dice. I like using the chef knife because the blade is wider, which makes it safer and easier to use. You don't have to get as close to your hand as you would with a paring knife, and you're able to cut more slices at one time. Easy as that. Nice small diced peppers. You're going to repeat that for the other 3 quadrants. Now if you have a difficult time trying to pull that core out of there, here's a quick tip that you can use that I'm going to show you with this green bell pepper. So we start out the same way. We take the paring knife and we cut around the core to loosen that whole thing up. But because it's still tight, we're going to take our knife and cut down one side of the pepper. This will allow that opening to be bigger and it'll be a lot easier for that core to fall right out of the center. Now instead of having to reach in and pull it out, you can just hold that opening open, give it a good shake, and the whole thing falls right out. You'll continue dicing it like you did the red bell pepper. Next we have our celery. I chopped off the bottom and the top end, rinsed it off in the sink, and as you can see, I sliced it right down the center of the core. Once we have that slice, you can go ahead and just dice up each half of that celery stalk.
If it ain't about money, we don't stay. If it ain't about money, we don't play. 100K, 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 100K.
Once we have the celery done, we're going to move on to our onion. I chopped off the top and the bottom ends of the onion to make it flat and easier to control. Once we have that, I slice it down in the middle to make them 2 halves, and then I peel off the outer layer of the onion. Once we have the skin removed, we're going to go ahead and chop that onion half into slices. So this will also determine how wide your diced pieces are. Following the contour of the onion, we are going to go ahead and cut those slices into dices. Now we're going to go ahead and saute our heart of palm. So I just sprinkled a bit of oil down on the bottom of the pot. I have it on medium-high heat right now. And then we're going to toss in all of our heart of palm and let it simmer there for a few seconds. We're going to saute it for about 5 minutes on that medium-high heat, and we're going to stir that occasionally to make sure that it is evenly sauteed. When the 5 minutes is up, this should be what it looks like. I'm going to give it one more good stir, and then we're going to move that off to the side as we begin to make our roux.
Keep your head up, tomorrow can be a better day. If you're looking to get some figures for better pay, invest in yourself, man, that is the only way. Get your clout up, 800K.
To make our roux, we are going to take the measured amount of oil that you will find in the description box, pour that on the bottom, and slowly add in our flour. Once we dabble in just a tiny bit of the flour, we're going to continue to whisk that together until all of the flour is dissolved into the oil. This is the most important step, as B Foreal would say in her video. We want to make sure we are always whisking this roux together to make sure that nothing burns. This is the base of your whole gumbo, and if you mess this up, you might as well just don't even make the meal. Don't even serve it to anybody. Toss it in the trash and go buy something. Just don't even tell anybody that you tried, because nobody wants to eat that and you don't want to embarrass yourself. So you'll see the whole process here. We start off with the clearness of our oil. As we add in the flour, it's going to turn white. Then it's going to turn yellow. We're at that yellow stage right now. And as we continue to add more and more flour and continue to cook this and whisk this through, it will eventually turn into a nice chocolate brown color. And that's the color that you want to see when you're all the way at the end. I don't think I burned anything. What you seeing in there, that's not burnt stuff, okay? That's the little pieces of the heart of palm that was left over in the pot. And so those are just cooking along with the roux, okay? My roux is not burnt. Those are just little pieces of leftover heart of palm. Now I still have a bit of flour left to add, probably about a 1/4 cup of flour. And at this point it's starting to look pretty thick, and I want to make sure I am still able to add in the rest of my flour, because I'm making a large batch of this gumbo. I have a large stomach to feed. And so you'll see me add in a little bit more oil just to thin it out a bit, so I'm able to add in the rest of my flour. And you can really see this chocolate color developing as we continue to mix. All in all, this roux took me about 10 minutes to finish. And there you have it. Now we're going to start tossing in all of our ingredients. This is the easiest part. We're going to start with the heart of palm. Toss all that into the pot. I like to make sure I get every little bit, because we took the time to go in and shred it. Might as well make sure it makes its way into the pot, okay? So once we have that, we'll start tossing in our vegetables. We're going to start with some celery. We're going to throw that right into our pot. Bam. Next, we're going to add in our red bell peppers. Look at that, pretty red.
If it ain't money, we ain't here to play.
Now our pot is still sitting on heat right now. And you know that roux is still sitting on the bottom, and we don't want to burn our roux. So as I'm tossing in these ingredients, you will see me stirring everything that's in our pot occasionally, just to make sure that we're not burning anything. We want to make sure everything gets cooked nicely and that nothing ends up being burnt. Now that that's been stirred nicely, we're going to go ahead and toss in the rest of our vegetables. We added our red peppers. Now we're going to add our green bell peppers.
That's my damn anthem.
Once those peppers are in, we're going to toss in some onion. And I think we should go ahead and stir the pot a little bit more, just to make sure all of our vegetables are nicely coated in that roux that we have. Now we're going to go ahead and season our gumbo. We're going to toss in a tablespoon of garlic. Toss in this entire bag of okra. And make sure your okra is frozen when you add it to your pot. It should not be thawed at all. It should be completely frozen. We're going to toss in some of this Cajun seasoning. This Cajun seasoning is bomb, y'all. This is my favorite Cajun seasoning ever. After that Cajun seasoning, we're going to go ahead and toss in some of that sazon, some paprika, some Worcestershire sauce. We're going to give that another little spin. Make sure nothing on the bottom of our pot is burning.
We don't play, here to stay, we here to stay,
We want to make sure our gumbo is nicely seasoned. We're going to add in some black pepper, a dash of some salt.
Do my dance, money dance, Millie rock, my time.
And we use the regular iodized salt because that's what we had at home. But you can also put in some sea salt if you have that. We're going to mix it up again. And that's the last of our seasonings. Now we're going to start tossing in the diced tomatoes that we have. And again, these were diced off camera. And then we're going to add in some vegetable stock. So I did pour the stock into a measuring cup just so that I can make sure that it's the amount that we needed. But yes, indeed, one full container of the vegetable stock is enough to fill the pot. And then we're going to give that one more good stir. So that's the last of our ingredients. Since this is my first time making the vegan gumbo, I went ahead and tasted it just to make sure that the flavoring was to my liking. And as you can see, it was a little bland, so I added a lot more seasoning. So I added more of the paprika, more of the sazon, and more of the Cajun seasoning. So I whipped that up a little bit more, and then we're going to go ahead and let that sit and cook for a few minutes. So I went ahead and put the lid on it and let that simmer. Now, because there is no meat, there are no raw meat ingredients, we could just let it cook for about 5 minutes for the vegetables. And then we take off the lid and we get to smell this heavenly magic. Oh my goodness, the smell was the most amazing thing ever. I did toss in some bay leaves, and so I removed those and then gave it another stir, and look, this is our gumbo. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. It tasted miraculous. Let me know what you guys think, any substitutes you would do, and be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video, please. And we'll see you guys next time on After Work Entrepreneurs. Bye.